This is TJ Sterling, writer, artist, creator of Okimist, sci-fi martial art action story, and you guys are listening to So Wizard Podcast.
Broadcasting very fast and very dangerous from the planet Malastare. You are listening to So Wizard.
You're thinking, people gonna die?
The only podcast to make the Kessel run in under 12 parsecs.
There'll be no one to stop us this time.
What's going on, everybody? It is time for episode number 224 of the So Wizard Podcast. I'm your host, Joey DiCarlo. My co-hosts, back from assignment, the queen of all nerds, Aubrey Litchfield.
Hello.
And the expert, Mr. Marquis Marcellus Reagans.
What is going on, everybody? It is good to be back.
You are listening to So Wizard Podcast. Three friends discuss the world of nerd, podcasting weekly. This week, we're going to talk a little bit of nerdy news, and then we'll spend some time remembering the late, the great, the legendary Stan Lee. But before we get into that, how's everybody doing this week? Aubrey, we missed you last week. What's going on?
You know, I find that I get sick right before Christmas and right before Thanksgiving. And here I am before Thanksgiving, and I am sick. And I'm calling bullshit.
It's the holidays. They're out to get you.
Yeah, they're just like, you know what? Fuck you. You're not meant to be merry. Let's just keep you miserable.
Well, if you're not going to be merry, I hope you could at least be Pippin.
Yes. Pippin was a fool. Fool of a took.
Do you have any exciting retail stories for us today, or you just want to die?
You know, I don't have too many crazy stories yet, but give it time because they're starting. I did see a video on Facebook of a guy destroying GameStop, which I'm pretty sure is pretty viral right now. And people are really surprised at the guy that answers the phone and just continues on with his job and was like, "Thanks for calling GameStop. This is Brian." They're like, "Oh my God," and he just keeps going on like nothing happened. It's like, because that's every day at GameStop. Somebody's
Right.
in there screaming at you, fucking destroying the store. Like, what is Brian surprised about? Nothing, because it probably happened yesterday. He probably put it all back together. His displays are probably held together with duct tape because it was fucking destroyed yesterday too.
Right. The average person would be surprised if a guy dressed like Michael Jackson with a rubber arm came into their store.
Yeah.
GameStop employees, we don't even blink.
Yeah, and you know, it's always funny to me because people are every time I meet somebody, they're like, "You work at GameStop?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "My kids love that store." And I'm like, "Never let them work there." and they think that I'm like joking, and I'm like, "No. It's fucking horrible." I had one person be like, "Well, don't tell my kids that. They'll be heartbroken." Like, And then you see videos like that on Facebook. Do you really want your kids suffering through that? No. It's people are always surprised at how horrible it is to work there, and it really is. I don't know why the customer base is so nasty to the employees there, but they are just horrible to the employees there.
Well, now that you violated your company's social media policy.
I should add that the views of myself do not reflect the views of my employer, GameStop. And therefore, now I am back into the social media policy. You're welcome, GameStop. Yes.
Well, now that Aubrey doesn't have a job after the holidays, how are you doing, Mark?
Yeah, I was just listening to a Christmas song called Mama, Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up and Work at GameStop.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I'm good. I went to see a play last week. It's called
Play on, Playa.
It's called In the Heights, which I knew absolutely nothing. You're right. I knew absolutely nothing about except for it's the guy that did Hamilton. It's the show that he did before he did Hamilton. So I knew nothing about it. No story, no songs, none of that shit. And it was really good. It was really, really good. So I know that they are making a movie out of it. John Chu is directing it. The guy behind, let's see, Jim and the Holograms, Justin Bieber, Never Say Never, G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra. So what can go wrong, right? The guy has a great track record. But he also did Crazy Rich Asians too. So he's got a little panache. So yeah, In the Heights, I'm looking forward to the movie adaptation. I really like the play. I think it's going to be a really cool movie when it comes out next year or 2020, whenever.
Well, you can go see Lin-Manuel Miranda in Mary Poppins 2, The Poppening, this Christmas.
The Wrath of Pop.
That's right.
Yeah, I actually do plan on going to see that, actually. I'm
Mary Poppins with a Vengeance.
I'm becoming a big fan of Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I will say I don't like 99.9% of the things that he makes because it's just not for me.
Sure.
But he's certainly extremely talented. And his songs from Moana were fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. And I watched a little documentary about In the Heights a couple of days ago. And he was just chilling with like his Death Stroll t-shirt. And I'm like, oh, it's an odd choice. He doesn't strike me as a G.I. Joe fanatic. And then they show like his dressing room. And it had like this gigantic, like old school G.I. Joe poster. I'm like, holy shit, he's a nerd. Good for him. So yeah, I kind of like him.
Awesome. I wish I had something interesting to talk about, but I don't. All I've been doing is working and sleeping. So
work, sleep, work.
Yeah, I've took on extra hours at my second job because I'm trying to save up money to get my son a Nintendo Switch for Christmas.
Oh, he can just work at GameStop and get it at a discount.
When Colin gets older and he's like, Dad, I got a new job at GameStop. How will you react, Joey?
I just tell him to quit.
Quit now and save yourself.
He's going to sit down and have the talk with him like in X-Men 2.
Right.
Like, are you sure you want to be a GameStop employee?
Have you tried not being a GameStop employee?
I'm always surprised when people tell me how long they've been there because I'm like, how have you lasted? How does this work? I've been on and off with GameStop for 7 years now, something like that. And I keep hoping one day that they'll fire me and it will just be something that they won't look past. I keep trying too. I set myself up. I
worked at GameStop as a store manager for 7 straight years. I'll tell you, Aubrey, you get in a rut and it's just your everyday grind. You don't even think about it after a while. So that's how that happens. You blink and all of a sudden 7 years have gone by.
Maybe it's just my personality where I'm like, Jesus, I don't give a fuck. I don't know.
Well, I will tell you that if you can get a job either outside of retail or not interacting with humanity, it's fucking fantastic.
That's the type of job that I need because obviously I can't handle humanity.
Awesome. Well, enough about us. Let's talk about us. Mark, tell us and the listeners who this could be their very first time listening, where they can find more So Wizard podcast.
You got it. All right, so everybody can go to SoWizardPodcast.com where you will find new episodes every week. You'll also find movie reviews from yours truly, Netflix and Amazon streaming picks from our buddy, the awesome Adam Wallyhawk. You'll also find our merchandise there, so you can look good while you're representing the show. Purchase some of our t-shirts, represent. Another great way to support our show is by doing your Amazon shopping through the link that we keep right on the website. Click on that big yellow A, do your Amazon shopping, receive your products, and that way you'll be helping out our little show too. You can also find our social media links there. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, and Instagram. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review while you are there. You can also find us on the Stitcher Radio app for your tablet and smartphone. We're also on Podbean. We're on Google Play Music, and you can stream us through Spotify, my personal favorite way of streaming shows. A great way to support our show is through our Patreon page, our Patreon link. Become a Patreon, support the show. Go to patreon.com/SoWizardPodcast, and that way you can help out the show and get some bonus material that we are delving out to all of our Patreons. This week's K-Pop Jam is brought to you by my new obsession, a group called Twice, who I spent most of my weekend studying and learning all about. Back to you, Joey.
이기심도 자극하는 너의 눈과 널 향한 호기심이 만나서 타올라 타오른다 My heart boom 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 You better hurry up 조금씩이나 하자
Hello, ladies. How'd you like to spend a little quality time with this sexy bod, huh?
Yes.
Oh, that works every time I talk to the ladies, let me tell you. So let's get at it. Let's jump on into this nerd news and see what's going on in the world of nerd.
Yo, pump it up. It's time for the news. Yo, we getting ready to bring you the news, boy.
All right.
All right, Marcellus. Tell us, Marcellus. Tell us, Marcus.
Barkus Marcus.
Bark at us, Marcus.
All right. So this week in nerdy news, we have a little bit of announcement for the Star Wars TV show that we've been talking about these past couple of weeks. They are making The Mandalorian for the Disney streaming app, Star Wars show that Jon Favreau is producing. And this week we found out who is under the bucket. The Mandalorian will be played by Pedro Pascal, who you may remember from The Equalizer 2 and also from Kingsman 2. And I feel like there's something else big that he did, and I can't.
Game of Thrones.
Whatever. I stopped watching that show in season 4.
That was his biggest role.
I don't watch that shit anymore. But yeah, he's a really good actor. He's displayed himself really well in the movies that I've seen him in. He's also really good in that really shitty Matt Damon dragon movie that came out a few years ago, The Great Wall. He was actually really good in that movie too. So yeah, I'm psyched. I'm glad that we actually know who's behind The Mandalorian. I think it's strange that they casted him after they've already been filming the TV show. So the stuntman's going to get a lot of work, it looks like. But I think it's very cool. I kind of like him. What do you guys think of Pedro joining The Mandalorian? Let's start with Aubrey.
Who was he in Game of Thrones?
The Spanish dude.
Oh, fuck.
He was, Mark, cover your ears for a second.
I don't care, dude.
He was the leader of the Sand Serpent.
Yes.
He got killed by the mountain. You know?
Yes. I recognize. I just got an article open and looked at it. He was good in Game of Thrones. I don't know. I think it's an interesting. I think that's all I know him from, though. So I mean, having him, I don't know. That's going to be weird. I feel like Boba Fett was just so different. He was like hurt and serious. And in Game of Thrones, he wasn't that serious. I mean, he kind of was, but he was more like an instigator in a sense. I don't know. This is a weird casting for me.
All right. Well, you guys have seen him do some TV work. So, Joey, what do you think about this casting, him in his TV show?
I think it's pretty awesome. I think he's a great actor. He in fucking Kingsman, he was like unrecognizable.
Yeah, seriously.
He did an awesome job in that movie, which was very middling as a movie, but he did good. And he was great in Game of Thrones. So I'm all in, you know, that's fine with me. He seems like a cool dude. So
yeah. I think he can provide some real gravitas to the role. I think that'd be pretty cool. And also, we got another bonus casting news with The Mandalorian. Joey, your girl, Gina Carano, has joined The Mandalorian. And it's one of those things where, like, I know her from, I never saw the movie that Steven Soderbergh did with her, where she plays like an assassin, where she beats up Channing Tatum. For some reason, I never got around to doing it, but she was great in Deadpool, in the first Deadpool movie. I thought she was awesome in that. So her in a Star Wars movie, like maybe being a bounty hunter, I'm all in. I mean, they already have my money for this, but I like the fact that she's going to bring some badassery to this TV show. So, Joey, what do you think about Gina joining The Mandalorian?
Oh, be still my heart. I love Gina Carano. She's smoking hot. That movie Haywire, by the way, Mark, is freaking awesome.
Is it really? Because
to watch it, yeah.
It looks kind of boring.
Well, she's not a good actress.
Oh, damn.
But she's very badass in it. So it's good enough. It's good enough.
That's fine.
You don't want to pay $13 to see it in the theater, but you know, I met her at a GameStop management conference.
Oh, no wonder you love her.
and I can confirm that she smells fantastic.
Yeah, is she really like 4'5"? Because she looks tiny as shit.
She's shorter than me, and I'm 5'10", so
Oh, that's not much.
she's probably like 5'6", 5'5", something like that. So she's taller than Aubrey.
Okay.
So she's taller than 5'3".
All right. Aubrey, what about you? How do you feel about Gina joining the show? And she's about
I
your
don't
height, so
even know who she is.
I think you can take her, actually, now I think about it. Yeah.
I don't even know who she is.
She was in Deadpool, the first Deadpool.
I don't remember.
She was the one that did the superhero landing at the end. She's the one that hit Colossus in the balls.
No. Aubrey's got nothing.
You know, I own that movie, and I haven't watched it again since I saw it in theaters. I don't remember. I don't know. I have no opinion anyway.
That's all right.
Your opinion is don't work at GameStop.
Yeah, it's all I'm at right now.
All right, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm psyched for the show. More casting, please. I'm waiting for them to announce. I think it's kind of cool, actually, now that I think about it, that Diego Luna is going to be headlining his Star Wars show, and then Pedro's going to be headlining his Star Wars show. So that's cool. Some nice diversity in Star Wars land.
Now we need to get an EU-ish out for him to have survived Rogue One.
There was a Sarlacc pit that him and Jin dived into.
Now Jen and him are hugging on the beach, and he just throws her off and runs and jumps in a shuttle or something. It's not his girlfriend. Who cares?
No, he's going to learn that he's strong with the Force. Kind of like if they blasted him out of a spaceship and he found himself floating in outer space.
Oh, that's right. He'll be flying around in outer space. That's where our Lin-Manuel Miranda Mary Poppins musical come in.
Can we get Lin-Manuel his own Star Wars show now? Let's just do
Just
that.
flying around in space singing songs. That's the whole show.
Exactly.
Shut up and take my money, Disney Plus.
I'm ready. Oh, man. All right. So then in other casting news, this one I'm actually really excited about. The internet did not share in my enthusiasm for this. The TV show Supergirl that's going on, I believe it's getting close to its 4th season. They were talking about casting Lex Luthor. You know, a lot of people were throwing Michael Rosenbaum's name in the ring, even though he played Lex Luthor for 6 seasons and got the fuck out of there. He was done with it. But they finally cast someone as Lex Luthor. We're going to get John Cryer, he of Ducky fame, he of 2.5 Men fame, as Lex Luthor, which I think is fucking perfect because he played Lenny Luthor in Superman 4. And one of the things that I love about the whole Superman franchise is that they always reach back to people that appeared in other stories, iterations, and bring them to the new one. So yeah, having the kid who played Lenny Luthor play Lex Luthor, I think it's fucking genius. I absolutely love it. I am jumping back into Supergirl just for this. So what do you think of John Cryer playing Lex Luthor back on Supergirl? Aubrey?
It's kind of interesting. I think he's a good actor. I don't know. I guess I'm in the same place that I am with Pedro being in The Mandalorian. It's kind of a weird thing for me.
Yeah.
That he would be Lex Luthor. I don't know if I've seen John Cryer in a villain-esque role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can understand that. Michael Rosenbaum is a fucking goofball. All you have to do is spend 10 minutes with him, and he's a fucking maniac. So him playing Lex Luthor was perfect. For some reason, that worked. I think this could work, too. Joy, what about you, dude? How do you feel about John Cryer as Lex Luthor?
I tapped out of Supergirl halfway through season 2, so I'm not going to watch it.
No, damn.
No matter how much I love Melissa Benoist, I can't watch that show. It's bad. It's real bad. But yeah, I guess maybe if Molly Ringwald had dated him at the end of Pretty in Pink, then he wouldn't have turned into a giant evil Lex Luthor at the end. So, it's all it's all connected.
It's all Molly Ringwald's fault.
It is. There you go.
There you go. Isn't she Archie's mom?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, she is, and she's a lawyer and everything in that.
Holy shit! When is Andrew McCarthy gonna appear on Flash now? What the hell?
Is he even still alive?
Andrew McCarthy? Sure.
What's he doing?
They're waiting for that.
Waiting for the phone call from the CW. He's probably really angry when Ruby Rose was as his Batwoman. He's like, I could have played that. God damn it.
Oh, yeah, that's happening. All right. So then let's see. In some really recent news that Joey, you had brought to my attention, Travis Knight, film director Travis Knight, it looks like he's being eyed for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is very strange. I thought that they were going to go with someone that was already in a Marvel bullpen, but Travis Knight, he did Kubo and the Two Strings, which is amazing. He's doing Bumblebee, which has been getting really good early positive reviews. So, he's been on Marvel's radar for a while, I guess. So having him do Guardians 3, I don't know about him as a comedy filmmaker, but I definitely think he can bring a good sense of comic book action to the franchise. So I hope it kind of works out. I think he's kind of cool. Joey, how do you feel about Travis Knight? I mean, even though he doesn't really have like a lot of films under his belt, but how do you feel about him possibly taking over Guardians 3?
Well, Kubo and the Two Strings is fucking phenomenal. So, that's good. Obviously we got to see Bumblebee. We got to see what that looks like. Everybody seems really excited about it and it has good buzz. I just can't get myself excited for a Transformers movie at this point, but I'm interested to take a look at it. And then, I guess we'll go from there. Cause don't forget, a lot of animation directors have flopped when they come to live action, such as, you get movies like Tomorrowland or John Carter.
All right, for the record, before Tomorrowland came out, he did Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which is awesome. I know you guys don't like Tom Cruise, but that movie is awesome.
Well, now I know why you want to hate me.
I think this could work. I think it's work. Aubrey, how about you? Did you ever get around to seeing Kubo and the Two Strings?
Nope.
I think it's on Netflix.
It is, yeah. It's in my list. In my queue.
You know what you say when Aubrey hasn't seen Kubo and the Two Strings, don't you?
You just made the list!
Adding it to the list right now.
All right, that's it for like the major news. Let's talk about some trailers. Let's get some reactions on some trailers that dropped. We got a trailer for Detective Pikachu. Ryan Reynolds as the voice of Pikachu. Justice Smith from The Get Down is the human component of this. Some throwback old school music. Not a lot of other people that they showed in the cast, but a whole shitload of Pokemon. This did absolutely nothing for me because I'm not a Pokemon fan at all, but I've seen like grown men weep at the sight of like Charizard or whatever the fuck it was on the screen. And I'm like, seriously, dude? So yeah, I'm turning this completely over to you guys. How do you feel about this trailer for Detective Pikachu? Let's start with Aubrey again.
I grew up with Pokemon. It was my thing growing. I went to Pokemon card tournaments, everything. And I feel as though this whole concept of a Detective Pikachu movie is just weird.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So weird good or weird bad?
I don't know if I really want it to happen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so watching the trailer, I was just kind of like, I feel like this is going to be really bad. It's only going to go one way and it's going to be bad.
Okay. All right, Joey, what about you, dude? How do you feel about the Detective Pikachu trailer?
Well, it looks cool. Visually, it looks cool.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be really stupid. But I will say that my 10-year-old son who loves Pokemon is out of his fucking mind to see this movie. So,
was he like super excited to see like his favorite Pokemon like live action?
Right. Exactly. He was like naming them off as they pop up in the trailer. Look, there's this one and there's this one. Like, why don't you know your schoolwork? I sound like my grandmother. Used to say, if you knew your schoolwork as well as you know Star Wars, you wouldn't have any problems at school. And now I'm like, Colin, how do you have 500 Pokemon and all their evolutions memorized, but you can't like do your homework? Okay, it's fine. It's fine. If you said, hey, sit down and memorize these 500 monsters, they wouldn't do it. But okay, whatever. I'm going to have to go see it, and I'm going to make you guys go see it, so we'll talk about it on the show. But, I mean, it looks cute. We'll see. And I just hope it's not terrible.
I'm already gonna hate it. I can tell you. I mean, I hope it's good. I'm going to go into it with an open mind, like I don't know who any Pokemon is, because I don't. I know I've heard the name Jigglypuff, and I think he's in it or she's in it somewhere. But I don't know. I'm hoping that this movie is going to appeal to me, not make me want to play the game or collect the cards, but I'm hoping it's going to work for me as a person who doesn't know who all these characters are. If it can pull that off, then that's an accomplishment. At least I'll
be happy if it doesn't make me want to claw my eyes out while I'm watching it. So
I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I don't even know when it's coming out. I think it's coming out this year.
Summer 2019.
Oh, okay. So we got time. So I got time to memorize 500 Pokemon is what you're saying.
Exactly. Get playing.
Yeah.
I think it'll only be the first 50, won't it? Because it looks like they're in the Kanto region. So
you're on a lonely island with that knowledge, Aubrey.
Or it'd be like 250. I think 250 would be the first region. So there's like a million different regions. And since Pikachu's in it and Charizard and Jigglypuff, it'd be the Kanto region. So it'd be the first one.
Aubrey wants to be the very best, like no one ever was.
So I used to work at a Hilton Garden Inn, and you get to choose your slogan on your name tag, and that was one of mine. Was Aubrey wants to be the very best.
Wow.
I wanted to see how many people would sing it to me. Nobody did.
Losers.
Yep.
All I want is a soundtrack with Baby Spice featuring Scary Spice. And maybe NSYNC and Aaron Carter thrown in there too. That's all I want. Just give me that for the Pokemon soundtrack and I'm good.
No, you need vitamin C. Vitamin C was on the first one. Yes. Yeah.
I was gonna say, Aaron Carter already told us how to beat Shaq. I don't know if he has any more knowledge for us.
Vitamin C was on the first Pokemon movie soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that soundtrack because it had a Baby Spice song in it. And I was like, oh, Spice Girls. It's like a little light. Like a moth to the flame. I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's all I remember from it.
Mm-hmm. We used to sing that song all the time. Vacation's where I want to be.
All right. So then other trailers that came out this week, a couple of Disney trailers. We got our first look at Toy Story 4. There was actually 2 teasers. One with Key and Peele as new characters, kind of riffing on the Toy Story franchise. And then another one with all of the characters kind of like, hey, look, they're all back. And then a new weird character that wasn't a toy that I guess shouldn't have been there. This is very strange because Toy Story 3 kind of wrapped everything up nicely in a bow. It's a really good trilogy, a really good solid trilogy. Them digging back into the well for part 4. I'm hoping that the reason they're doing this is because they have an amazing script that they really just got to do. But I'm worried about this one. This one I'm really worried about. What did you guys think of the trailer? Let's start with Joey.
I mean, there wasn't much to it, but it was fine as a trailer. But I'm really more worried about if I don't want this to suck.
Yeah. Did you see Did you see both of the trailers?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yep. And they were fine. It was just like I just had more trepidation. Like I thought we were done with movies and they were just doing little shorts and those were fine. I've watched all of them with myself and the kids. They're great. First 3 movies are fantastic. So it's, has there ever been a good 4th movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Step Up 4, The Streets.
You got served for the serving. But I don't know. I'm very nervous, and I know that originally this was supposed to be a prequel about Woody meeting Bo Peep, but that entire script got trashed and rewritten to be what it is now. So I'm very nervous. I need to see more. I need to see an actual trailer, not a scene of characters talking, not a 30-second thing of people dancing with a fork. I need to see like something more, and then I'll feel a little better. But I'll be there. My butt will be in the seat, so we'll see.
All right, Aubrey, what about you?
I didn't see the third one, so...
Oh, wow. So you capped off at 2?
Yeah. You know, because, let's be honest, when do I actually put forth the effort? You know? So, yeah, I didn't even see the third one, so...
Well, at some point you should get around to watching it. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's really good, but you're going to cry at the end.
Oh, God, it's so... Ooh.
I heard it was emotional, and that might have been why I avoided it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's no Jigglypuff on a screen, but it is pretty sad.
Well, it's like Niagara Falls, Frankie Angel.
All right, so then another Disney trailer I dropped was the second look at Dumbo, Tim Burton's reimagination of the classic Disney cartoon. We got Michael Keaton back. We got Danny DeVito, Colin Farrell, some cute little kids, and a flying elephant. I don't really remember the cartoon that much. Like it's probably been about 30 years since I've last seen it. I don't remember the story at all. I remember I liked it, but I don't remember what the story is at all. So I'm debating whether I want to rewatch the cartoon so I can get familiar, or do I want to hit this movie cold. But the trailer looked all right. It's nice to see Tim Burton back in the circus area. And it's nice to see Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito back. So yeah, I thought the trailer was all right. What did you think of it, Aubrey?
I'm going to be honest.
You didn't see it.
I didn't watch it, but I didn't watch it because Dumbo was so hard for me to watch in the first place that I emotionally could not take it.
Wait, is this another Pinocchio thing?
I'm not terrified of Dumbo per se. There are parts in Dumbo that are frightening, but it is so damn sad. It is like Bambi sad. And I just can't handle it. His mom dies. I can't handle it. Dumbo looks sad to begin with. I can't. So I didn't watch it. I'm sorry, Mark. I know you told me to watch it, and I pretended like I was going to.
That's totally fine. It's totally fine. So
My heart just couldn't take it at this point in time.
So I take back everything I said about Toy Story 3 too. So don't watch that at all.
Yeah.
We're gonna move that.
I may cry. I mean, I cry. It's weird because I'm not an emotional human being. I am very closed off to the world, obviously. And I watched Bolt, and the movie with the dog is like John Travolta.
Yeah.
And Miley Cyrus.
Yeah. And when Bolt is really excited to see her, and then she goes and hugs the other dog, and Bolt is really sad, I freaking cry every time. I'm so heartbroken for that dog. I don't know if it's because I love dogs so much that hurts me that a dog would have their feelings hurt, but I do. Any movie like that, I'm like, no, I can't watch this with you. You got to do this on your own, man. Good luck, YOLO. Throw him in there. He can watch all those sad Disney movies. Mufasa dying, I cried for years.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. And when the old lady leaves Todd and Fox and the Hound, oh my God. Sign me up for some intense therapy. I'm checking myself in. I can't handle it.
All right, so let's open up the list of Aubrey, and we're going to cross off all of the horror movies and all of the Disney cartoons.
That'll break my heart because animals are getting upset. God forbid an animal gets that. If a human is devastated, it's a whole different ballgame for me. I don't give a shit. But once an animal is involved, then I'm like, I melt. Mm-hmm. I can't handle it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Joey, what about you, dude? How did you feel about that Dumbo trailer?
I just don't care. I don't like Disney movies. Not the classic animated ones. When I was a kid, I was just never into those.
Wow.
Like, I'd rather watch Star Wars for the 500th time or watch like G.I. Joe or He-Man or anything that was not like G-rated Disney movie.
Jesus.
I just thought they were whack, you know? There's no fighting in it. There's no explosions. Nobody uses karate. There's no spaceships. Like, thank God Titan AE didn't come out when I was a kid. I would have been really into that.
I know, you're absolutely right, dude. I'm trying to think of some examples to like counter what you're saying.
That's why my favorite animated Disney movie is The Black Cauldron, because at least it had like a D&D type element to it.
Mm-hmm. Even
if it was still Disney-fied. But yeah, so I have no nostalgia for like Dumbo or Cinderella or any of that stuff. Maybe for Spenderella from Salt and Peppa. But and normally I would watch Ava Green read the phone book, but I've already got more than enough movies on my shelf with her naked in them, so I don't even really need to see her in this movie. So I think I'm good. I think I'm good with Dumbo. I'm all set.
Well, when it comes out, dude,
Well, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I think I've got to wash my hair that week. Got to give my goldfish a bath or something.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know about this movie. I mean, I want to see Tim Burton come back, and like I said, it's nice to see him in a toy box where he's familiar with it. So, here's hoping. Good for him. I'm just waiting for that live action Bambi movie, man. That's what I want. Let's bring that shit on.
Jesus.
Fuck that live action Bambi movie. I don't want that shit.
That's never going to happen. They will never do that. But I think it'd be really funny if they tried it. So that's it. That's it for the news. That's all I got.
All right. So I guess now we'll talk a little bit about Stan Lee, the legendary comic book creator who passed away last week at the age of 95. Huge loss for the nerd community and really the world at large. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about it and see what we had to say. Let's go around with just some, feelings. Mark, feelings. Give me some feelings about Stan Lee and what happened.
Yeah, well, Stan Lee's been around since forever, man. I mean, as part of the comic book world, he's been around since I was a little kid. So he's always been kind of old to me. And yeah, when he passed away, everyone that came out of the woodwork to console me. But I'm like, he lived a long life and he changed the world and he got to witness it. He got to experience people, thanking him for their childhood, for the joy that he brought to their childhood. But it did kind of put me on a spiral of learning more about him that I've been going through this past week. So yeah, it is sad that we lost someone who is so iconic, but I do feel like his stamp on the world is so large that, he's always going to be around in a weird way. Right? I mean, it doesn't really feel like he's gone.
Right. What about you, Aubrey?
All right.
Uh-oh.
At risk of being shunned from an entire community.
Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you.
Ooh, any recommendations?
I'm not saying I wasn't sad. I'm just saying he was in his 90s and he was ready. Again, there was many interviews where he was ready for this to happen and he, wanted to be with his wife. And I think that I am not sad because I feel like he got his wish and he's happy.
Okay, that's not bad. Okay.
Yeah, and
I was really worried about what was about to come out of your mouth.
No. I'm not sad because I feel like he is at peace and that in the end that's all that matters.
Right. And I'm in the same boat as you, Aubrey. It wasn't a tragic end. Mm-hmm. It's not like he was in his 30s and cut down by a bus while crossing the street or something. He was very old.
Yep.
And, once someone that age, their wife or other significant other passes away, it's pretty common the other person goes fast. So we kind of all knew what was happening. And the reason I'm not as sad as I could have been is because, it's a lot, we knew this was going to happen. We all knew, mentally, you've been kind of preparing for this for, months, weeks, years. You knew it was going to happen eventually. It was like when my mom passed away almost a year ago, it was very, very sad and it was god awful. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but, she had dementia and Alzheimer's and strokes and stuff. And she really hadn't been herself in 2 years. I had almost been mourning the loss of my mom for 2 years at that point. So, it's why some people, no comment on family drama, but some people didn't think that we had mourned the way we should have. But, I had already been mourning for almost 2 years the loss of my mom. So it really wasn't it was more of a relief than anything. So I completely agree with what you said. Yeah. So it's sad. But like Mark said also, he's basically the Walt Disney of comic books. So it's not like everybody next week is going to forget who Stan Lee was.
Exactly.
So what was your first exposure to Stan Lee, Aubrey? When was the first time you were even aware of his existence?
We used to read a lot of Spider-Man growing up, and I think that that's really where probably my first exposure to Stan Lee came in was just Spider-Man. It was so long ago too, and I want to say that was really the main thing, was because Spider-Man was a huge part of my childhood, Spider-Man and X-Men, and so Stan Lee was huge in Spider-Man and X-Men, so I would say that was probably my first exposure. I can't remember like the first ever moment I recognized him as a person, because I feel like he's always just kind of been there. I've always known his name in a way.
Sweet. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I was trying to think of the first time I really recognized who he was or understood who he was, and I couldn't remember that far back. I know when I saw Star Wars, when I first fell in love with Star Wars, I became obsessed with creators, people behind the camera. So I was aware of him being as the comic book guy, more so than anyone else. Like, I can't think of anyone else from my childhood that I'm like, okay, this person makes comic books. But Stan Lee, I always did. I want to say that it was I want to say he voiced like a cartoon. It was probably the first time that I really was like, oh, yeah, that's the guy that created Spider-Man. The guy that created Marvel Comics. At least that's what I thought. So yeah, my first really interaction, or not interaction, my first really remembrance of him was probably like 7 years old, 8 years old, right around there.
Right. So I'm going to echo a little bit of what you said, Mark. I would say my first like realization about like who he was and how important he was when he was the narrator of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon.
Yeah, I think that might have been it.
Right. And, I had started reading comics when I was 4. So, I was always a huge Marvel fan. And, as you get a little older, you start reading some of the other stuff in the books. And he always had his soapbox in the bullpen bulletins page that was like him talking to you as a reader. And then in a lot of Marvel Age magazines, they talked about him too. Marvel Age was like a 25-cent, like basically a previews catalog before previews catalogs existed. And you bought it at the comic book store. It was 25 cents. And they tell you what was coming out the next month and have like basically like PR articles in it about Marvel and how great Marvel is. But he was always all over that. So you started to get this idea of, who he was, and the reverence for him and Kirby and Ditko in those books was out of control. So, it started to build him in this larger than life figure. And those little snippets he always wrote in the books each month for the bullpen bulletins was it really made it feel like he was talking to you specifically. So that was one of his big things was, and one of the things he was great at was make you feel like, oh, okay, well, we all read Marvel and you're special because it was almost like Mr. Rogers, I guess, for a way, which sounds really weird. But like Mr. Rogers will like look at the screen and talk to it as if he's talking to you.
Oh, yeah.
That was his thing too, but through the written word in those pages. So that was fantastic. Have you guys ever had a chance to meet him or, interact or even be in the same room as him?
I have not. I think he was going to be somewhere I think he was at Super Mega Fest or something, but he had pulled out or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Twice I didn't get a chance to meet him, but twice I was in the same room with him. When we were at New York Comic Con years ago, 2003? I don't know. Whenever Unhappy Grandma came out, 2008. We were in New York Comic Con, and he was there doing an appearance. And as we were waiting in line, he just showed up and, greeted the crowd. Was just hanging out with the crowd. And I didn't really notice it. I just heard people losing their shit. I turned around, and there was Stan Lee probably, 6 feet away from me. I'm like, oh, shit, look at this dude. He's like walking around and meeting people. So I thought that was really cool. And then he was at Dragon Con 2 years ago. And I went to his panel, and his panel was fucking amazing. I was so glad that I took the time to try to squeeze into that panel. Waited in line for hours and made it in. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I'm sure I teared up a couple of times. He was just such a funny dude. I remember some kid asked him about how he felt about Captain America saying Hell Hydra. And he was like, Captain America did what? As soon as this panel was over, I'm making some phone calls.
Awesome. Well, I actually did get to meet Stan Lee, and I may have told this before on the podcast, and I certainly posted about it on Twitter, but I think it's my second year as a GameStop store manager. We were still EB Games at the time, if you can believe that. And X-Men Legends came out for PS2 and Xbox. Do you remember that game, Aubrey?
I do, actually.
And he was at the Activision booth signing for the game, to promote the game. So, I got in line, and then when it was my turn, I got to talk to Stan Lee, and I was trying to explain to him how much I love comics, and especially the characters he created, and how important they were to me. And I was practically crying, and it was probably just nonstop word vomit stumbling out of my mouth that made no sense. And then he just shook my hand and looked me right in the eye and said, "Thank you for being there, true believer."
Oh my God.
I could have died on the floor at that moment in life. I would have been perfect. I could have walked right into the gates of heaven and said, I'm good, bro. High five to St. Peter. Take me in. I'm coming home, Wheezy. But yeah, he signed my thing, and that was my interaction with Stan Lee. And it's like, he could have been a total dick to someone like could barely vocalize words at that point, but he was super cool. And I'm really glad that I had that moment in time, which he probably had 30,000 times a day and had heard the same crap from every nerd on the planet 50,000 times. But for 15 seconds, he made me feel like he actually cared what I had to say. So it was a good time. It was a good time. What is your favorite Stan Lee characters, Aubrey?
I'd definitely say Spider-Man. Just because it's held such a special place in my heart and in my life. And I know that it was a big character for him too. I think that Spider-Man is just everybody, even with Noah now, Spider-Man is like Noah's favorite superhero. And we just had a Spider-Man birthday cake for him and everything. So I think Spider-Man just always seems to come back in my life in a circle. So I would definitely say Spider-Man.
How about you, Mark Ellis?
Yeah, I would have to agree with her. Spider-Man is probably one of the most one of his main characters that I think everyone can grasp onto, that everyone can fall in love with. One of my earliest memories of reading comic books was a Spider-Man comic book. So yeah, I mean, he's created, the fact that he's created so many characters in such a short period of time is amazing. But Spider-Man, for some reason, that the lightning that struck when he came up with that character is just, it's a beautiful thing. And I think that's definitely one of my favorite ones.
Okay. Not Black Panther?
Yeah, I wanted to say Black Panther, but I didn't fall in love with Black Panther until way later. I knew of him, but I never read any Wakanda books when I was a kid. But I read the shit out of Spider-Man books.
Right. It's going to be Spider-Man for me, obviously. The first comic book I ever read was, Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, number 68. And I've just been a huge nerd ever since. And he didn't work on that book. Obviously, it was Bill Mantlo and a couple other people, but it's always Spider-Man. It's always going to be Spider-Man. My kids love Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. People all over the world love Spider-Man. To be able to have even a hand in creating something like that it's unimaginable. So.
Yeah, and what's funny is that not funny, but his wife was saying in an interview when they were talking to her about his creations, and she's like, God, everybody, it's always Spider-Man. It's always Spider-Man. Everyone always brings that up, but no one knows that he is an amazing writer and he's an amazing poet too. So the fact that there's a whole nother creative side to Stan Lee that his wife knew and that probably certain people in the circle knew, I think that's really, really fascinating.
Well, that was why he changed his name when he started working in comics, because he wanted to write a novel, and he's like, well, I'm not going to use my real name because then I won't be able to have people take my novel seriously after I work in comics. So
it's awesome. Yeah, dude, there's so many Stan Lee stories. The guy is just, he lived a really charmed life. He lived a really fascinating life. I'm so glad that he got to the point where he could really, really kick back and enjoy it.
Right. And I got to send a special shout out to Fantastic Four also, because his run on Fantastic Four with Jack Kirby is fucking amazing. If you've never read it, it is, even 40 plus years later, it is awesome stuff. So I think the couple issues where Galactus and the Silver Surfer first show up are probably some of the best comic books ever written in history. So definitely seek those out. But let's stop being sad. Let's wrap this up with our favorite 3 cameos of Stan Lee in Marvel movies. And we'll start with number 3 with Mark Ellis.
See, if it has to be Marvel, I have to say honorable mention, his cameo in Mallrats, Kevin Smith Mallrats is amazing.
You can say that. That's fine.
Can? Okay, sweet. All right. So number 3, I'm gonna have to say Mallrats. He was so cool in that role, and the fact that Kevin Smith got to put him in a movie when it wasn't like it was for the fans, like for the geeks. You know what I mean? Like the world couldn't care that Stan Lee was in this movie, but having the creator of so many characters deliver dialogue and actually be really funny, like get to show his personality. That's such a great role. I love him in Mallrats. I love it.
All right. What about you, Aubrey?
I would say Ant-Man and the Wasp would be my number 3.
Okay. I don't even remember what happened in that one.
They shrunk his car.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
All right. My number 3 is Avengers at the very end when he's like, superheroes in New York. I thought that was great, especially because you've been waiting the whole movie to see if he was going to be in it. And there he was at the very end. So, all right, Mark, number 2.
Number 2, God, all right. This isn't really like an MCU movie, but his appearance in Deadpool cracked me the fuck up. Like, I was not expecting it at all. And the movie was already silly enough, but having him be the DJ at a strip club, I don't know, for some reason it killed me. I thought that was the funniest fucking thing ever. So number 2, I'm going to give to Deadpool.
All right. Aubrey, what about you?
There's so many. Like, shit. What do I know? Thor Ragnarok, probably.
That is a good one.
It was so funny. There's just so many, honestly. I know narrowing it down to 3 is hard, but yeah, Thor Ragnarok definitely is up there.
Well, I picked for my number 2 was Winter Soldier, when Captain America steals his uniform back from the Smithsonian, and Stan Lee is a security guard who's like, I am so fired right now.
Yep, I like that one too.
All right, Mark, give us your number 1.
All right, so number 1, the one that continues to crack me up every time I see it, Avengers Age of Ultron, with him being one of the few of Captain America's buddies that's still around. And Thor gives him Thor is talking about how great this drink is, and he's like, all right, Blondie, just hand it over. Fucking love it. And then they have to carry him out. I love it.
All right, Aubrey, what's your number 1?
Shit. I should have used Thor Ragnarok as my number 1. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, probably. Or,
that's a good one.
That is a good one.
Spider-Man Homecoming was pretty funny. Doctor Strange was good, too. Shit. There's just so many.
It's okay. Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is a really good pull.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my number 1 is not an MCU movie, and also not a good movie either.
Wow.
But Stan Lee in Spider-Man 3.
Oh, when he's standing next to Tobey Maguire?
To Peter and tells him, hey, I guess one person can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Enough said. It's just like, perfect.
I have an honorable mention, though, that I have to throw in, too. Teen Titans Go to the Movies. He has a cameo in there, and it's so fucking funny. It killed me. He's a janitor that's working at the WB lot, sweeping up stuff. And they don't really make like that big of a deal of it. You kind of see him in the background, but he's looking like directly into the camera as he's sweeping. So like the characters are walking and you see this janitor in the background going to the right sweeping, going to the left sweeping, and the whole time he's looking right into the camera. Then he like walks right up to the camera like, "Hey kids, it's Stan Lee." Like, "Hey, you're not," or they said something like, "This is the wrong universe." And he's like, "Oh, I don't care. I just love being in cameos in superhero movies."
I think that Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer also deserves an honorable mention, where he's like going into the private party and he's like, I'm on the list. It's Stanley.
And the guy's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever."
Yeah.
Or when he was Hugh Hefner in Iron Man.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, rest in peace, Stan Lee. It's very sad, but now you can hang out with Jack Kirby and make some more cool comics, hopefully. So that's going to do that for that. Let's wrap things up for the week with some recommendations. Aubrey, what do you got for the listeners out there?
Oh, so much has dropped today or this week.
Drop it like it's hot.
I haven't played any of Fallout 76. I got the beta. I just haven't played it. Obviously, by all the videos going around on Facebook, people aren't liking it. But in all honesty, it's a Bethesda game, people. But nobody likes Bethesda games when they first come out. That's what I tell all my customers when they come in and they're like, "Yeah, but the beta wasn't good." Like, yeah, but nobody likes a Bethesda game when it first comes out. So what are you complaining about? I mean, look at Fallout New Vegas. Trash when it first came out. Then they fixed it, and now everybody loves it. But I have been playing Let's Go Eevee, and it's actually really cool because you can put one of the Pokemon in the Pokeball, because I got the Pokeball, and you can put a Pokemon in the Pokeball and bring it around with you. And by walking it around and everything, you do actually gain XP points for that. And that's really cool. I like the integration that they have where you can actually hold down on a button and play with the Pokemon and everything. And it like chirps at you. So I think that's really cool. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Everybody go get Let's Go Eevee and get the Pokeball because it's fun.
Right.
Awesome.
You talked me into it, Aubrey. I'm getting it.
Yeah, it's fun. I had it chirping earlier. I don't know if you guys heard it in the background, but it was chirping earlier because I was trying to move my Pokemon from the Pokeball to the game, get all the XP points, and then put a different Pokemon in the ball. So
I just keep hearing the word ball over and over again. Aubrey likes it when the balls ...
I do.
All right. Markellis, what about you?
Yeah, there was a documentary called With Great Power, the Stan Lee story, that I believe it was available on YouTube. That was really, it wasn't like super official. You can tell there's a lot of different interviews that Stan Lee did in different areas, but there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff too. And there's some great footage with him and his wife, just chilling at home. So, the creators behind the documentary, they knew Stan, really personally. So that is really cool. It's called With Great Power. It's the Stan Lee story. And that actually led me to another documentary that's on YouTube called Searching for Steve Ditko, where a British reporter grew up as a huge Steve Ditko fan and wanted to interview like a lot of different people. So he interviews Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman, Stan Lee, and it's a big chunk of the story is about the creation of Spider-Man, like who is the real creator of Spider-Man. One thing I learned that I didn't know, that amazing scene in Spider-Man Homecoming, that's from one of the books. Like it's almost verbatim.
You didn't know that?
No. I had no idea.
I was like openly weeping in the movie theater.
But yeah, like when I saw those pages and I'm like, holy shit, they actually did that in the movie and it was effective for me in a movie because I didn't know it was based on a comic book. So yeah, that's an amazing documentary. It's called Searching for Steve Ditko. It came out about 10 years ago. British reporter going around interviewing different people, trying to meet his idol, Steve Ditko. It's really cool.
Awesome. Well, I will recommend that everyone goes to SoWizardPodcast.com, where they'll find the podcast every week. Links to all our social media accounts on the right-hand side of the page. movie reviews, streaming picks from Adam and Marcellus, and so much more. SoWizardPodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes / Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or just about any podcatching app under the sun, and we will be there. You can leave us a 5-star review on iTunes if you're able to. That helps out the show. You can also join our Patreon page, patreon.com/SoWizardPodcast. Get yourself at least one extra episode of the podcast every month. We just did our exclusive review of Bohemian Rhapsody a few weeks ago. That's only for our Patreon, so you're missing out if you're not giving us money. Patreon.com/SoWizardPodcast. I don't know when this is going to drop because of the holidays and all the nonsense going on. But if you're going to be doing some shopping on Amazon, on our website, there's a big orange A. You click on that. It takes you right to Amazon, and we get like 1/4 cent of every penny you spend or something like that. We get like 2 cents if you spend some money, but it helps. And, I don't want to sound money grubbing, but, it's not free for us to do this, but we do it out of the love of our heart. So any little bit of extra money helps us get a movie ticket to see a movie to review, or some gas in the tank to get to a con or whatnot. So feel free to do your Amazon shopping by clicking on that orange A. If you are in the mood, I would say read some Stan Lee comics. Like I said before, that Fantastic Four run is amazing. And between Comixology, illegal internet means, and other ways, I'm sure you can find a way to read it. So check it out. Also, I will suggest a book called Marvel Comics: The Untold Story, which came out, I want to say 2012. I'm staring at it right now in front of me. It's by Sean Howe, and it just details through interviews with creators everything at Marvel Comics up to the creation of the MCU. So it takes you from the beginning of Marvel all the way through the release of Iron Man. And it's interviews with creators and people that work there. It's fucking fantastic. So that's my suggestion. And that's going to do it for this week on the So Wizard podcast. Next week, we're hopefully going to be able to review Creed 2 with a special guest. We're still locking down time, so I'm not going to reveal who that is in case they can't come on. But we will be reviewing Creed 2. And I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. So this has been episode number 224 of the So Wizard podcast. On behalf of my co-hosts, the queen of all nerds, Aubrey Litchfield.
Excelsior!
And the expert, Mr. Marquis Marcellus Reagans.
Excelsior 2 times, Wakanda forever.
I've been your host, Joey DiCarlo. We'll see you next week. Good journey.